The 16th crown, if we add it to the history of Japan, it is the Meiji. Earthquake. Please take a look. It is the beginning of a new era. While the rest of the auto industry rushes toward an all-electric future, Toyota took a Ishwa Denchi, different path that challenges everything we've been told about electric vehicles. Toyota engineers believes that EVs are not the only solution to a sustainable future and came up with an engine that has left the EV market in complete shock. But why is Toyota resisting the EV trend when so many other automakers are fully committed? Does Toyota know something the rest of the industry doesn't? Join us as we expose the shocking details of Toyota's strategy, Toyota's bold stand against the VES. In a move that has shocked the auto industry experts, Toyota is not buying into the all-electric future that so many other automakers are rushing toward. You see companies like Ford, Volkswagen, and Mercedes are making big promises about phasing out gas-powered cars, and Toyota is standing firm and saying not so fast. Toyota believes the world is not ready to switch to electric vehicles, and according to Toyota, forcing that shift too soon could cause more harm than good. Unlike competitors scrambling to roll out as many EVs as possible, Toyota is taking a different path that challenges the idea that electric cars are the only way forward. But why is Toyota so resistant? Is it just about protecting its business, or does it have a point? Remember that Toyota is not afraid of change. This is the company that gave the world the Prius in 1997, which was the first mass-market hybrid. Back then, hybrids were a radical idea, but Toyota proved that combining a gas engine with an electric motor could work. But that was not the best thing about Prius. The Prius set the stage for modern hybrid cars, pushing the industry toward cleaner energy long before fully electric vehicles were considered a serious option. However, despite leading the hybrid movement, Toyota has been slow to go all in on electric cars. While Tesla, Rivian, and Lucid made headlines with EV breakthroughs, Toyota kept refining hybrid technology and investing in alternative fuel sources like hydrogen. To some, this reluctance makes Toyota look outdated, but the company insists that it is simply being realistic. Toyota unquestioningly believes jumping into an all-EV future is a mistake or decision that could leave millions of drivers without practical options. Toyota's position became even clearer in 2021 when it refused to sign the COP26 climate agreement. This deal called for automakers to stop selling gas-powered cars by 2040, but Toyota refused. It will also support a mutual development of electric vehicles. Instead of following the crowd, Toyota argued that the world wasn't ready to make such a drastic change. Of course, this decision sparked backlash. Critics accused Toyota of slowing down progress. How could the same company that revolutionized hybrids now be against EVs? But Toyota wasn't backing down. The company claimed the push for 100%. EV adoption was overlooking some critical factors. And surprisingly, these are factors that most people weren't talking about. And believe it or not, they had a point. Many countries are passing laws to phase out gas-powered cars. California, the European Union, Canada, and Australia have all set deadlines to ban new gasoline vehicles by 2035. On the surface, this sounds like an excellent move for the environment. However, Toyota argues that these laws ignore the bigger picture. For starters, not every country has the infrastructure to support EVs. Toyota sells cars in over 200 countries, many of which don't have enough charging stations, stable electricity grids, or even the resources to maintain electric vehicles. Forcing a global switch to EVs without solving these issues could leave millions of drivers stranded. I love cars. Always have, always will. Toyota's concern isn't just about selling cars. It is about making sure people still have reliable transportation. In places where power grids are weak or gas is more accessible than electricity going fully electric isn't realistic. Let's leave the brand for a while and talk about a man. Much of Toyota's stance on EVs comes from its former CEO Akio Toyoda, who led the company until 2023. Unlike executives at other automakers, Toyota did something. That shocked everyone. He didn't shy away from speaking his mind for a minute. For instance, he clarified that he wasn't against electric cars. He just didn't believe they were the best solution for every driver. He argued that EVs were overhyped and pushing them too aggressively could lead to significant problems. Under his leadership, Toyota continued investing in hybrid technology, hydrogen power, and new engine designs instead of pouring everything into EVs, while other companies tried to catch up with. Toyota focused on finding alternatives that wouldn't require a total shift away from combustion engines. Toyota's approach wasn't popular with everyone. Many industry leaders and environmental groups criticized his resistance to EVs, but he stood by his position, insisting that the rush toward an all-electric future wasn't as simple as people made it seem. Toyota believes combining technologies, hybrids, hydrogen-powered cars, and even improved gasoline engines will be the best way to reduce emissions while keeping cars affordable and accessible. By refusing to commit to EVs fully, Toyota is positioning itself as the brand for people who need alternatives. But let's be honest, this strategy comes with a lot of risk. If EV adoption happens faster than Toyota expects, it could fall behind. On the other hand, if the shift to electric proves more difficult than anticipated, Toyota could end up looking like the company that saw the problem before anyone else did. And that's where things get interesting. While EVs may be dominating the conversation now, Toyota has a different solution in mind, one that could change everything. However, to understand why Toyota believes in that alternative, we first need to look at the hidden problems of electric cars, hidden problems with EVs. Electric cars are everywhere now. Have you noticed that every car commercial is about some new EV with futuristic features, and governments worldwide are making big promises to phase out gas-powered vehicles? On the surface, EVs are the perfect solution to fight climate change and reduce pollution. But a side of the story doesn't get talked about enough: the real challenges of making electric cars work for everyone. Electric vehicles are the way of the future. You want to be on the leading edge of it, absolutely. And the truth is that Toyota is not the only one raising concerns. Even people who support EVs are starting to ask tough questions. Are electric cars as clean as we think? Can the world even produce enough batteries for all these cars? And what happens to the power grid when millions need to charge their EVs simultaneously? Let's break it down. Acquiring electric-only cars sales by 2035. So about 10 years away, those EVs are well known for saving money on gas. Let's break it down. Currently, EVs make up only about 1% of all cars worldwide. That's a tiny fraction. But what happens when that number jumps to 10%, 20%, or even 50%? More electric cars mean more electricity demand, a lot more. According to Toyota estimates, electricity consumption could skyrocket. If electric cars become the standard, the US, for example, would need to increase its power production by 40% by 2030, just to keep up. That's like building dozens of new power plants in less than a decade. And remember, this is just one country. Where is all that electricity supposed to come from? Most power grids around the world are already struggling. Rolling blackouts happen in places like California every summer, and Europe has been facing energy shortages since the war in Ukraine disrupted gas supplies. Adding millions of EVs to an already stretched system could cause significant problems, especially during extreme weather when electricity use is already high. And here's the kicker: most of the world still gets its electricity from fossil fuels. Coal, natural gas, and oil power the grids in many countries. So even if your EV doesn't burn gas, the electricity charging it probably does. This means EVs might not be as clean as they seem, especially in places where renewable energy isn't widely available. Let's talk about another issue: EV batteries. Batteries are what make electric cars possible, but they come with their own set of challenges. The biggest issue: lithium. Lithium is the key material used in EV batteries, and its demand is exploding. The problem is, there isn't enough lithium to meet the massive increase in battery production. And even if there was mining, is a huge environmental problem. Most of the world's lithium comes from Chile, Argentina, and Australia. The mining process drains massive amounts of water, destroys local ecosystems, and creates pollution. In some areas, entire communities run out of water because lithium mining has taken over their freshwater supply. And lithium isn't the only issue. EV batteries also rely on nickel, cobalt, and manganese mined in countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo. Many of these mining operations use child labor and dangerous working conditions, raising serious ethical concerns. So while EVs don't produce emissions from a tailpipe, their batteries come with a different environmental cost, one that's often ignored in discussions about going green. And even after the batteries are made, there's another issue. What happens when they die? Currently, there's no solid plan for recycling EV batteries at scale. Because I'm out of this Tesla after today, I'm not going to ride it again. You'd rather go back to gas. I'd rather go back to gas, absolutely. Most batteries have a lifespan of 8 to 15 years, and after that, they become hazardous waste. Without proper recycling systems, we could face a massive waste crisis shortly. We are about to reveal another critical problem that will impede the adoption of EVs. Stay with us. For many people, switching to an electric car is about cost. And here's the truth, EVs are expensive. Even with government incentives, most electric vehicles cost far more than their gasoline-powered counterparts. The average price of an EV in the US is over $50,000, while a standard gas-powered vehicle costs around $35,000. Why are EVs so expensive? It all goes back to the batteries. They're the most expensive part of the car, and with lithium and other materials in short supply, prices aren't going down anytime soon. Governments are now offering tax credits and subsidies to make EVs more affordable. But how long will that last? Once these incentives disappear, many people won't be able to afford an electric car, especially in developing countries with lower incomes. This is another reason Toyota is hesitant about an all-EV future. The company argues that forcing electric cars on the market could leave millions without a realistic option. But let's say you manage to buy an EV. Now you have to charge it. Sounds simple, right? Well, not exactly. Charging an electric car isn't like filling up a gas tank. It takes time. A standard home charger can take 8 to 40 hours to fully charge a car, depending on the battery size and power source. Fast chargers exist, but they're expensive and not widely available. And what about people who don't have a garage? Millions of drivers park their cars on the street in apartment complexes or in areas without easy access to chargers. Unlike gas stations, which are everywhere, EV charging networks are still in their early stages. This means many drivers would be stuck waiting in long lines at public charging stations, especially in cities where private charging isn't an option. And remember, as more people switch to EVs, the charging demand will only worsen. Currently, the US has about 160,000 public chargers, but experts say we'd need at least 10 times that number to support a fully electric fleet. Building that infrastructure will require time, money, and government support. With all these challenges, Toyota believes that betting everything on electric cars is risky. The company isn't saying EVs are bad. It's just saying they're not the only solution. Toyota believes combining different technologies is better than forcing a complete shift to EVs. Have all our cars both Toyota and Lexus. And I said they are right. That means improving hybrids, investigating alternative fuels, and developing new engine designs that reduce emissions without eliminating traditional engines. Of course, not everyone agrees with this strategy. Many automakers believe that EVs are the future no matter the challenges. However, as Toyota sees it, too many problems still need to be solved before we can go fully electric. That brings us to Toyota's alternative, a technology it believes could completely change the game. To understand Toyota's vision, we must look at something quietly developing in the background for years. Hydrogen-powered internal combustion engines. Could this be the honest answer to clean transportation? Toyota seems to think so, and that's precisely what we are talking about next. Keep watching. Hydrogen-powered internal combustion engines. While other car companies pour everything into EVs, Toyota is pushing forward with a hydrogen-powered internal combustion engine. This isn't an experiment. Toyota is serious about hydrogen and believes this technology could eliminate the need for fully electric vehicles altogether. The idea sounds almost too good to be true. Clean energy, fast refueling, and the same powerful performance people love in traditional cars. But is hydrogen the game changer that Toyota claims it is? And more importantly, can it compete with EVs? Toyota has already built a working prototype of hydrogen combustion cars, including the Corolla Cross H2 concept and a hydrogen-powered GR Yaris. These vehicles use modified versions of Toyota's existing gasoline engines. But instead of running on liquid fuel, they run on compressed hydrogen. Hydrogen burns differently than gasoline. It ignites faster, burns hotter, and releases little byproducts into the atmosphere. Toyota had to make significant adjustments to make hydrogen work. It reinforced pistons valves and cylinder heads to handle the higher combustion temperature. But that wasn't all. Toyota engineers also had to rework the fuel system since hydrogen is a gas, not a liquid. And they fine-tuned the ignition system to ensure the explosions inside the engine happened with perfect timing. Company sources revealed that these changes were not easy. We made significant investment to not just build ever better cars, but Toyota figured them out, and now they have hydrogen combustion cars that work. This technology keeps everything people love about gas. Powered cars, including quick refueling, strong acceleration, and a familiar driving experience, all without carbon emissions. That's a big deal because one of the biggest criticisms of electric cars is that they just don't feel the same. The instant torque in an EV is impressive, but many drivers miss the sound, the mechanical response, and the raw performance of a traditional engine. Hydrogen combustion keeps that alive. Another key advantage is refueling speed. We mentioned earlier that it takes time to charge electric cars. Even the fastest chargers require 30 minutes or more, and home charging can take up to 40 hours. With hydrogen cars, all you need is a quick stop at a hydrogen pump, and in 90 seconds to 5 minutes, the tank is full. No waiting, no planning your day around a charger. Just fuel up and go. Electric cars also come with a significant concern: range anxiety. The worry of running out of battery before reaching a charging station is accurate, and long road trips require careful planning. Hydrogen cars don't have this problem. They have a range similar to gasoline vehicles, meaning you can drive hundreds of miles without worrying about where to charge. What you are about to see will change everything you think you know about electric vehicles. Do you know that their performance drastically recurs under extreme weather? Yes, you heard that right. Cold temperatures drain EV batteries, sometimes cutting their range by almost half. Hot temperatures can cause overheating issues. Hydrogen, on the other hand, stays stable in extreme cold and heat, meaning performance isn't affected by the weather. What about battery weight? Electric cars are heavier than gasoline cars because of their massive lithium-ion batteries. More weight means more energy is needed to move the car, which reduces efficiency. Hydrogen combustion engines don't need giant batteries, making them lighter and more efficient. This weight difference also affects driving dynamics. A heavy EV handles differently than a lightweight gas-powered car, and some drivers prefer the feel of a traditional internal combustion engine. But then the truth is that for all its advantages, hydrogen combustion still faces some obstacles. The biggest issue is infrastructure. There aren't enough hydrogen fueling stations to make these cars practical for everyone. From battery packs, from a manufacturing perspective, that feels wrong. I think it must be something to do with software. In the US, most hydrogen stations are in California. Europe has more, but even there, availability is limited. Without enough fueling stations, hydrogen cars can't compete with the convenience of gasoline or even EV charging networks. Toyota knows this and works with governments and private companies to expand hydrogen infrastructure. But building enough stations to support widespread adoption takes time and money. This is why EVs have taken the lead. Charging stations are much easier to install than hydrogen refueling stations. Another challenge is the hydrogen production system. Most hydrogen comes from natural gas, which still creates carbon emissions. Toyota is pushing for green hydrogen made from renewable sources like wind and solar. But scaling up production is a slow process. Until green hydrogen is widely available, the environmental benefits of hydrogen cars won't be fully realized. Despite these problems, Toyota believes hydrogen combustion has a future. Unlike many automakers betting everything on battery-powered EVs, Toyota sees a world where multiple clean energy solutions exist together, rather than a future where everything runs on batteries. Toyota also sees hydrogen combustion as a way to keep traditional mechanics and repair shops alive. Electric vehicles require specialized knowledge to fix. This means independent repair shops could struggle to survive in an all-electric world. Hydrogen combustion engines, however, are still mechanical, so you could take them to the same repair and maintenance facility, much like gasoline engines. This keeps the auto repair industry from being completely replaced by expensive, specialized EV service centers. The idea of hydrogen replacing EVs might sound far-fetched, but Toyota is playing the long game. The real question is whether hydrogen can scale up fast enough to challenge EV dominance. Right now, the EV market is booming, with billions of dollars invested in battery technology and charging networks. Hydrogen is still in the early stages, and it will take significant investment to make it a truly viable alternative. But Toyota isn't just relying on hydrogen alone. It has another strategy in play, one that blends electric power with traditional engines in a way that makes sense for the present, not just the future. We are talking about something intermediary hybrids and mixed engine solutions that offer the best of both worlds. And that's exactly what we are about to show you. Hydrogen versus electric engine. Let's face it, one of the biggest reasons electric cars are growing so fast is charging convenience. You see, hydrogen refueling stations are much more difficult to build because they require specialized equipment and high-pressure storage systems. On the other hand, you can install EV chargers almost anywhere in homes, parking lots, gas stations, and even grocery store parking spots. Governments and private companies are investing billions into expanding EV charging networks. There are already over 160,000 public charging stations in the US alone, which is growing fast. In contrast, there are only about 60 hydrogen refueling stations. If you own an electric car, you can charge it overnight in your garage. If you don't have a home charger, there's probably a public one nearby. With hydrogen cars, it's an entirely different story. Owning a hydrogen car is impossible if you don't live near a hydrogen station. You can't refuel at home. Even in cities where hydrogen stations exist, they're few and far between. Forget about the price for a minute. Let's talk about installation. Expanding EV charging networks is easier than building hydrogen stations. A basic level 2 EV charger can be installed in a home for a few $100s. Fast charging stations like Tesla superchargers cost more, but are still relatively simple to set up. Hydrogen stations, on the other hand, require expensive equipment. According to energy experts, hydrogen must be stored at extremely high pressures or at very low temperatures to stay in liquid form. These stations need special safety measures, reinforced tanks, and constant monitoring to prevent leaks or explosions. This is why there are so few hydrogen stations today. Building one can cost millions of dollars. With few hydrogen cars on the road today, investors see no need to waste their funds on hydrogen pump stations. Toyota works with governments and energy companies to expand hydrogen infrastructure, but progress is slow. That is not all. Countries like Japan, Germany, and South Korea are building more hydrogen stations, but hydrogen refueling remains out of reach in most parts of the world. Even if hydrogen stations are built everywhere, hydrogen fuel is still expensive. Right now, it costs about $12 per kilogram. Now think about it. A typical hydrogen-powered car needs 5 to 6 kilograms to fill up. That means a full tank can cost $60 to $80, which is not much different from gasoline. But the fit is more expensive than charging an EV. Electricity is much cheaper in comparison. Fully charging an EV battery home can cost as little as $5 to $15, depending on local electricity rates. Even at public fast chargers, the cost is still lower than filling up with hydrogen. So fuel prices must drop significantly for hydrogen cars to succeed. That means producing hydrogen cheaper, which brings us to another issue. How hydrogen is made. If you think hydrogen is a clean fuel, what you are about to see will shock you. Most people assume hydrogen is a clean fuel, but the truth is that most hydrogen today is made using natural gas. The problem is that carbon is released into the atmosphere during this process. However, there is another type of hydrogen known as green hydrogen. Toyota and other companies are pushing for green hydrogen, which uses renewable energy sources like wind and solar power. But right now, green hydrogen is expensive and challenging to produce at scale. Until hydrogen production becomes cleaner and cheaper, the environmental benefits of hydrogen-powered cars are not as cool as they should be. Even if Toyota solves all these problems, builds more hydrogen stations, lowers fuel costs, and cleans up hydrogen production, there's still a significant question. Will people want hydrogen cars? Most drivers today know about EVs. They see Teslas on the road, hear about government incentives, and understand the basic idea of plugging in a car. But hydrogen, for many people, it's still a strange technology. We must convince people to switch to hydrogen by educating them, building trust, and proving that hydrogen cars are as reliable and convenient as EVs. That won't happen overnight. Toyota isn't alone in this, engaging cars to drive, and that's something that the Toyota hybrid systems have always struggled with. Other automakers, energy companies, and even governments are investigating hydrogen's widespread adoption. If Toyota's vision for hydrogen comes true, it could reshape the auto industry unexpectedly. We mentioned earlier that Toyota is not stopping at hydrogen alone. The company has another strategy that blends multiple power sources into one practical solution. Let's examine the Toyota hybrid concept closely. The reason is this: Prius isn't coming to the United Kingdom. Toyota hybrid engine tech. Toyota's hybrid technology is not new, but is still one of the company's biggest strengths. Take the Prius, for instance. It changed the game when it launched in 1997, and over 2 decades later, hybrids are still going strong. While other companies are moving away from hybrids and focusing solely on battery EVs, Toyota is doubling. It believes hybrids are a necessary long-term solution for millions of drivers. The T-app then check out the hybrid coaching feature, which will help you on your journey to efficient driving. And we think there is a good reason for this. Remember that hybrids don't need charging infrastructure. They don't require people to change their driving habits. They use significantly less fuel than traditional cars, but don't leave drivers worried about charging stations' battery life or electricity costs. In short, they provide real-world benefits without the headaches of complete electrification. If you think the idea of hybrid is cool, what about plug-in hybrids? They have the capacity for both short electric only driving and a gas engine for longer trips. This gives drivers the best of both worlds. Electric power for cities driving gasoline for longer distances. In countries where electricity grids are unstable, hybrids and plug-in hybrids are the best possible option. They reduce emissions without making car ownership difficult. This is why Toyota still invests heavily in hybrid technology. While the industry chases fully electric cars, Toyota sees a reality where many people aren't ready to make that leap. Let me introduce you to the plug-in hybrid, or PHEV. Hybrids fill that gap. We are about to reveal something that gets little attention. Stay with us. Passenger cars get most of the attention, but Toyota knows that the biggest challenge in transportation isn't just about daily commutes. It's about trucks, buses, and industrial vehicles. The vehicles that power economies and keep supply chains running. Battery-powered trucks exist, but they have limitations. According to industry experts, they take hours to charge. They require massive battery packs that add weight, and they can't travel long distances. This is where hydrogen has the biggest potential. Toyota isn't just working on hydrogen combustion engines for regular cars, but also investing in hydrogen fuel cells for heavy-duty vehicles. Unlike battery electric trucks, hydrogen-powered trucks can be refueled in minutes and have the range needed for long-haul transportation. This could be a game changer for industries that can't afford long charging times or can't build massive charging stations for fleets. I don't think these are just commercials in California and Japan that already use IEs. Toyota's hydrogen fuel cell technology is not just an idea, it is a working solution. But again, another challenge is infrastructure. But in the trucking industry, hydrogen fueling stations don't need to be everywhere. They just need to be along major shipping routes. That makes hydrogen a real alternative for long-haul trucking, even if it's not practical for every car owner. This is where things get interesting. We are not saying EVs will not be a big part of the future. Even though Toyota isn't going all in on electric vehicles, it's not ignoring them either. The company has launched battery EVs and continues developing solid-state battery technology, which could make future EVs cheaper, lighter, and longer lasting. Toyota's issue isn't with EVs themselves. It is with the idea that the whole world can switch to EVs overnight. Some will choose battery EVs, others will go for hybrids, and some will stick with hydrogen-powered vehicles. Instead of forcing a single solution, Toyota is letting the market decide. Most automakers treat the future as if one technology will win and everything else will disappear. But if we are to go by history, that theory rarely works. Gasoline didn't kill diesel. Airplanes didn't kill trains. Solar energy didn't replace all other power sources. Instead, different technologies coexist and serve different needs. Toyota believes the same will happen with cars. Battery EVs will dominate some markets. Hydrogen will power industrial vehicles. Hybrids will continue to serve drivers who want efficiency without limitations, and new technologies will emerge over time. Are you thinking about buying a hybrid Toyota vehicle? Thank you for staying with us. Do you think Toyota's hydrogen vehicles can dominate the future of the auto industry? Share your opinions with us in the comments section. If you enjoyed the video, like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also click the following video on your screen, and you will enjoy it.